Hello. Hated how that sounds, but we're going to keep going. Hope everybody is doing well. Again, by everybody, I mean like the 0 people that listen to this. Hope none of you are, living a fruitful existence. It is, I believe, we're getting there. It's almost like the 30th episode of this thing, which I have to say, I think that's like half a year. Are we at 6 months yet? I think we might be just at 6 months, which is pretty good. I have to say, time is flying rapidly because apparently, according to the calendar, which I only trust like halfway, really, because sometimes these dates like aren't really making sense. Like, really, like some years there's a February 29th, some years there's not. Most years there's not. Like, I don't know that we can trust something that's so unreliable, such as the calendar, but few things calendar related. It is the 10-year anniversary of the time that the world was supposed to end, but then didn't. Yes, that would be December, I believe, 21st of 2012 was the year, not 2020, 2012. Now, I have to say, I remember that day vividly because I might have talked about this on an episode a couple weeks ago, but I remember waking up that day and thinking, well, it's the end, like just bracing for impact. Now, what the Mayans failed to tell us was the time that the world would end. They told us the day, or I guess their calendar, the Mayan calendar had, like, when they were writing it, I guess their pen ran out of ink, or I guess it probably was something closer to like a quill pen, what is that called? Feather pen, a bird feather in ink, not necessarily like a Bix pen, but you know what I'm saying. Their writing utensil, mechanical mechanism, ran out of ink when they had written December 21st, 2012. Didn't have time to write December 22nd, 2012. I think that is what happened. So people thought, well, this is their prediction. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a user error. It wasn't a clerical error. It was intentional, and that was the day the world was going to end. So I, as a 12-year-old at the time, was terrified. I remember like a good year or two before that, I was like, it's coming. I remember like 2011 happened, and I was like, we're getting close. And then, January 1st, 2012, I was like, this is it. This might be the end. Haven't lived that much life, but I've done some things, seen some places, and this might be it. But again, they didn't tell us the time. So I was basically, running around. I actually think there was school that day. I want to say that was a Friday. I'm going to double check. Let me just see if the calendar goes that far back. Oh, yes, it does. You see, I have this weird thing where I have a terrible memory, but then I remember like certain details, like not graphic as in like graphic, but like descriptive. I guess detailed was a appropriate word. I remember details of certain things like very randomly, very well. And then I wonder like why I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. It's because all the brain storage is filled with like useless information from 2007. Maybe a little bit earlier. Or I guess later. 2014, 2015. I actually don't have a single memory from the year 2016. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, okay, what age was I this year? What age was I that year? Which, lucky enough for me, I was born in 2000. So it's just like whatever the year is, pretty much. I just have to think, has my birthday happened yet this year? And if I've had a birthday this year, then my age is just whatever the year is. Now you'd think, oh, how cool. Not as cool as you'd think to be born on I think it would be called a millennium. Because for starters, the day I turned 19, which in Canada is like the day that you are, you can like buy alcohol and do illegal stuff. Not much of an alcohol person, I have to say. So when you're sending me Christmas presents, I'd much rather get like some sort of gift card, or like if you want to send me like a box of Capri Sun, I'll love you forever. So just stuff like that, just if you were wondering, no pressure. I will be setting up an Amazon wish list very shortly. I have to hurry it up because, again, Christmas is coming up. We will get to that. But to finish my point, which is so hard for me to do on this platform, I remember on my 19th birthday, I went to buy a lottery ticket because, like, that was my version of, I don't know, participating in what 24 hours ago from that point was illegal and illicit behavior. So I was like, let's do it. I hand my card thing, my ID, to the person. And this person told me that I had to wait till the next day. I had to be like 19 years old in one day to buy a lottery ticket. And I was like, okay, well, I'm never doing that again. I should have listened to my gut. I should have just said, because it was kind of embarrassing. I was like in the gas station on my birthday, ready to, have this piece of paper, like a scratch, and no, not even a lottery ticket. It was a scratch one that, if we're being honest, I had been doing. I'd never bought one before, but I mean, it wouldn't have been the first time that I participated in a scratch. What is that? What are they called? Like a scratch thing? Not scratch and sniff, like the scratch lottery thing where you they have themes. It's like Deal or No Deal, or like Frog Pond, and it's like you're scratching off like lily pads or whatever. Basically, you never win any money, but I didn't even have the opportunity to lose money because I was only 19 years old in 0 days, and I needed to be allegedly 19 years old in 1 day. So go figure. I should have, again, listened to my gut and never gone again, because the embarrassment of being turned away at a gas station in the middle of nowhere on my birthday, thinking that I was being an adult, was too much to bear. But I think I want to say like 2 or 3 months after that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it one more time. Like, let's just go. I go to buy my scratch and win. Is that what it's called? A scratch and win? It's still not sounding right. Well, let me tell you, I didn't win anything because I showed them my license and they started laughing at me. And I was like, what now? Like, I know it's a bad picture. Like, yeah, there's like drool on my chin. My hair is terrible. In my defense, I didn't actually think I was going to pass my driver's test the day that I got my license. So the picture on my license at that time was not a prepped photo. Now, it doesn't look too different from the time that I knew I was getting my license photo taken, but at least I had the excuse, right? Just to catch you up on those details. So I hand the person working the counter, the lottery counter, and they start laughing, and I'm like, what is wrong? And then they start showing their coworkers my license. And they're like, look, it says 2000, ha 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 ha. And at first I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, they just can't believe that, 2000 was 19 years ago. How funny, ha ha. Okay, now give me a lottery ticket. But no, I think they thought that I was like a 14-year-old who like forgot to give my fake license and was like just being honest and seeing if they would give me, something that's only for 19-year-olds. So then I had to remind them that we were in the year 2019. Now, for anyone that's just tuning in, I don't think we're in the year 2019. I know it was 2022. But I'm just talking about a story from 2019. So yeah, they genuinely thought that I was just trying to get away with it. And then I had to explain, no, it's actually 2019. It's not my fault that, 19 years ago was 2000. Like, I didn't ask for that. I'm the same age that everyone else is. Any other 19-year-old from the past that bought a St. Patrick's Day leprechaun-style scratch and win. So what's the problem? They eventually did. We all figured it out. They were very friendly. We were all good. I got my scratch and win. I did not win. But everything else in that endeavor, I would say, worked out. And so, yes, back to the day that the world was supposed to end. I remember, I don't know how we got all the way around here, but we circled back. I remember distinctly, I was in the car thinking like, okay, it's going to happen. And then, I believe it was the radio made a very interesting point. They were like, well, how do we know what time the world is supposed to end? And I was like, because that was really the only thing that was keeping me calm throughout the rest of the day, Because then I remembered the year before, which with the dates, it would have been almost exactly a year before, when I was tracking Santa on Christmas Eve, which I guess would have been 2011. I realized that the Earth has different time zones. I know that this is probably like pretty basic information to everybody, but at 11 years old, just trying to track Santa, this was news to me, that like Australia could be in tomorrow while I'm in today, if that makes sense. So I was like, oh, so in Australia, it's like probably tomorrow. So like there's people that have made it, beyond what the Mayans predicted for us. And there was just something about that felt comforting. So I really held on to that. And I believe, if my memory is correct, I stayed up till midnight that night, just because I really wanted to make sure like we were like 100% solid. Also, I believe there was no school the next day, because that would have been the last day before Christmas break, because it was like a Friday, which wasn't that the best. I loved the idea of a Christmas break. My goal, put it on the 5-year, is to somehow get myself, weasel my way into some sort of situation where I get a Christmas break. Like, even if it happens like in the middle of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like Phineas and Ferb, that show about the kids on their summer vacation. It was like 5 seasons, but like it was all episodes in summer vacation, but then they somehow had a Christmas special. I want that. That's what I would like. Sign me up for that. I don't know who I have to talk to. I don't know what paperwork I gotta fill out. I don't know if I need legal representation. I don't know if I need to take some sort of like probiotic beforehand. Just whatever needs to happen for me to get that, sign me up. Something I do not want to be signed up for is the end of the Christmas season, because, I mean, that's essentially what we're looking at. It is, again, December, I believe when you're listening to this, December 22nd, and funnily enough, because it has been a sort of a busy time and a high time of procrastination on my end, it's the same day that I'm recording this. It is 12:22 a.m. on December 22nd. Not 2012, 2022. Which, oh my gosh, how exciting, is exactly 10 years to the minute that I probably fell asleep in 2012 with the relief of still being alive and still getting to live out my days, playing Xbox, but like not new Xbox, like original Xbox. Or I guess I'd probably moved on to Wii Fit at that point. Playing Wii Fit. Did anyone else have a Wii Fit that when you stepped on it, it was like, ow? My Wii Fit was doing that to me, like every time. And I remember it would have like you would input your like height and then your weight, or like it would weigh you, and then it would put you in like a category of like obese, at risk of obese, normal. And from what I remember, normal was like not a healthy thing to be telling children is normal. I was always like in between, or like at the very, 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 very tippy top of risk of obese. At certain points, I would rise into the obese category, and I just think like, for all the stupid stuff that people sue people for, I think we have a case there. Like if somebody wants to like draft something together, pay for the legal like component of it, like handle the smart stuff, handle the finances. Like if I'm not put out much by this legal process, I want in on some sort of a lawsuit against the Wii. I think it's Nintendo company. Because like, that was weird, right? Like sometimes I think about stuff and I'm like, that was off. And the Wii Fit definitely was one of those things. I bet you there was a like Nintendo Wii game version of The Biggest Loser. I mean, it was already essentially Wii Fit, but I bet you they did like a branded, like actual, like not verified, what is that word? Authorized version of that. Because that was my favorite type of Wii game. I had a Wii, very funny story. I think I got a Wii for Christmas. See, hilarious. hilarious. You're in stitches. I got a Wii for Christmas, and then I think I won a Wii from like some sort of a raffle that I had signed up. Like I didn't even know that I signed up for the raffle, and then it was like, you won a Wii. I think it was from the bank or something. I don't know. Very confusing. For anyone wondering, what did he do with 2 Wiis? I didn't. I sold one, and then I got a Nintendo DS. I think it was the DS Lite, because it was a cheap one. But it was good. But yeah, my favorite brand of game is like game show turned into like a playable version on the Wii. Loved the Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Every single time I was not. I played that when I was, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, wasn't smarter than a 5th grader. Forgivable because, am I supposed to be smarter than a 5th grader? No. That would mean the school system failed. But when I started getting into like 6th, 7th, 8th, the age I was yesterday, and I wasn't smarter than a 5th grader, there was something going on. Also meant the school system failed. Or someone failed. Maybe it was just me. But all of this to say that the world did not end in 2012, which, I guess there are pros and cons to everything. I don't know. It's all about perspective. Not to change topics randomly, which I think could actually be like the title of either this episode or the podcast as a whole, changing topics randomly and jarringly, if that's a word. If anybody has any sort of hair gel that won't evaporate in a split second, that it either comes into contact with any sort of air quality that isn't, cold, or, like I bend over and it flops back, or I do like a single jumping jack, break a sweat, and from the one jumping jack, it doesn't take long, and then it like flops over, like evaporates. If we could figure that out, that would be great. I mean, I'm sure it's already not great for your hair in general. I have come to the terms with the fact that I will be bald before I'm 30. I actually look forward to that. It is sort of my plan, so if it doesn't happen, it's like, it kind of sucks, like, similar to the end of the world. It was like, well, I don't have to do this, homework project due in January, because the world's going to be non-existent. And then the world was existent, and I was like, shoot, guess I got to do this homework project. But yeah, if anybody knows any sort of better hair gel, that would be great. Again, I do realize like 0 people listen to this, and the likelihood that the 0 people also use hair gel, and then use a better one than me, which I guess isn't hard because I use like the dollar store like sport one that's supposed to like hold better. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. So yeah, there's a few different there's a few different probabilities that we have to break for this to be useful information to be putting out there. But yeah, because I'm telling you, by the end of the day, I'm walking around with like looking like I'm about to join like a punk band. I was trying to think of the name of a punk band, and I don't know that I know any. I'm gonna be honest, or I'm just not thinking of them now. But without further ado, I would love to get to the Christmas section of our podcast, because really, I mean, this is monumental. I feel like since very close to the beginning of the show, and by that I mean 6 months ago, as established in the beginning of this episode, we've been talking about, the countdown to Christmas, the countdown to the holidays. And by the time, I sit down in my lovely beanbag chair with my phone that's usually, got 40% battery remaining, if we're lucky, on a good day. Like, we've been talking about the holidays, so it's gonna be weird. Like, what am I going to be talking about next week? Which is a question that I ask myself every week. And then somehow I'll think of something. It's not always going to be good. Most of the time it won't be. I think maybe every like 4th episode or so, I, click done recording and I put my feet up and go, oh, you know what, that wasn't too bad. That seemed coherent. Now, I don't actually listen to the podcast, so I don't know if it is, but it feels as such. But yeah, not to be negative, but the other day I was trying to figure out, what Christmas movie I should watch, because it really feels like we're down to the wire. I saw an ad the other day for last minute Christmas gifts, and I was like, it's not last minute. We have months till Christmas. It turns out we're at days. Again, the other day someone was like, oh, I'm not even done my Christmas shopping yet. I'm like, why would you be done? It's November. And it was, again, December 18th. So the calendar is not any version of the calendar. I don't care who wrote it. I don't care the mechanical utensil they used to write it. There's something wrong with it. There's something up. My calendar is wrong. Needs to be fixed. But instead of complaining, I will carry on. But I don't get where the time went. But yes, I could not find a good movie to watch if my life depended on it. And then even all the usual ones weren't sounding good. I actually love Elf. I don't know if that is both the most common opinion and potentially a unpopular opinion, because it's just so overplayed. I remember in high school, we'd have exam week would be the second to last week of school. So you do your exam week, but then you'd have to come back for that last week before Christmas break. And it's just you're not going to start teaching something on the last 2 days of classes. That would be stupid. So basically we just had to watch Elf. And because the blocks, the classes were only an hour, we would just watch the same chunk of Elf. It would start at the beginning, and then I think we'd get to where the dad finds the yearbook of the elf's mom or whatever. It was always that part that it would have to stop on when they roll out the TV on the stand, the AV equipment thing. Maybe you'd get a projection screen. You know what was really cool? I doubt, no, I mean, schools for sure don't have this, and I'm not even, this is, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And the 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound like a literal choreographer. But my point was, I'm not claiming to be even that old. But when they used to have that, I guess it was the projector with the film on top of it, and they would write with the fancy markers, and then I think they could get a worksheet that we would have, and by they I mean the teacher could get a worksheet that we would have printed in that clear, I don't even know what the word is, plastic, they would put on the light, and then there was a mirror hanging over the light, the base light, that would project onto the projection screen that they would pull down from the ceiling. It was very complex. I have to say, sometimes I think about, because obviously computers now, everything's run by a computer, whether it's a physical computer, a laptop or something, or a desktop or whatever, or something that is run by a chip. Everything is, it's all computerized, if that's a word. But sometimes I think about the things that a computer replaced, and they're actually more complex machines really than the computer. Now I'm sure this is wildly untrue, but when I go on a computer and I want to, get an image up on a screen, it takes 2.5 seconds. I can't explain to you the process, but there's something about some chip in my computer that connects to the TV, and we're good. It's easy. But then you think about that projection screen contraption thing, was probably way harder to think of than the actual computer, which is now the replacement for the projection screen thing, contraption. So it's are we getting smarter or are we getting dumber? I think I am proof that there is still intelligence somewhere out there in the great beyond. But, unfortunately, not everybody, we're not all working with the same toolkit, there's only so much I can do, right? It's I can't I can't do everything. I can't be a scientician, a mathematician, a cooktician, a technician. You know, it's like I'm one person. Podcastician. I can't host a nationally, globally ignored podcast and also figure out, how to make the planet survive more decades. I'm going to have to pick. So, anyway. Actually, yeah, I'll do a poll on the Nobody Asked for This Instagram. Like, which one you'd like me to focus on? Do you want me to go more podcast or more smart, in the smart area? Because I think they could use me in both, but I'm just sort of wondering, like, what is most necessary? Because that's what I want to provide. I was given all these gifts, and I think that I should allow the beneficiaries of those gifts to determine where I place my efforts. I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. I don't know how I started talking about Christmas, and then, I got here. But that's just how it works. I feel like this is not the Christmas send-off, the Christmas episode that I think we deserved as the finale to our countdown to the holidays. So what I've decided right now is to counteract the post-Christmas blues, which is the worst type of the post-blues, I have to say, because it's like months and months of anticipation. It happens and then it's over. And then you have to see all those terrible signs advertising tree chippings. My goodness, like salt in the wound. Terrible. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see my Christmas tree get chipped. Also, what even happens to the chippings? Like, just leave the trees alone. I wish I had a real tree. We just have a fake tree. And I mean, I guess a fake tree, real Christmas spirit. But it's just not the same. It doesn't matter how many candles from Bed Bath and BS I light. It's not gonna smell the same as a pine tree. Now it is less a pine tree. What am I, a philanthropist? Oh no, not a philanthropist. What is it called? A forestry. What is a naturist? What is it called? What is it called when you do? Not a phlebotomist. Maybe is it a phlebotomist? No, I think that's someone that takes people's blood. Phlebotomist. What is it called when you do a nursery? Anyway, you know what I'm saying, or you don't. I don't know that I could do anything to help at this point, but what I'm proposing is that we make next episode the holiday season send-off celebration. Now, it will be coming out at about December 29th, so a good 4 days after Christmas has come and gone. But I think we can still harness some of that New Year energy, New Year's Eve energy, and just pretend that it's topical. So hold up for that. I will dress up as an elf. You will not be able to see because this is not a video podcast, nor will it probably ever be. Because that's it's just too many cameras. Although I do have to say, I am very, I move my hands a lot when I talk. And I, jump around. I'm more on the animated side, I would say, if I do say so myself. And I don't lose any of that, even though this is audio. I'm still moving my hands and pointing to things and, gesturing, with shape or size or how far something is. So, maybe what I want to do is wish you all a happy holidays, no matter what you're celebrating. If you're just celebrating life, if you're celebrating nothing, I wish you a peaceful time. If you're listening to this, I thank you. I've just remembered it's not Thanksgiving, so I don't want to say what I'm grateful for, but if it was Thanksgiving, I would be grateful for anyone that listens to this. I would be even more grateful for anybody that tells a friend I would be even more gratefuler if you shared the link. Like, just take the link. First of all, figure out if the person you're sending it to is more Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I'd say those are the two main ones. We are also on iHeartRadio, Stitcher. What was the other one? Line-In, not LinkedIn, Line-In. We are on MySpace. We are on Club Penguin, Webkins, as well as if you tell your Alexa, play the Nobody Asked for This podcast. It won't be the first one she plays, but if you ask her, okay, try again, I think we're around the 16th or 17th. Would have been great to know that when I named the podcast, but that's okay. I mean, we can always do a rebrand down the road. But yeah, if you want to hear more of the show, find any of our social medias. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also TikTok. Haven't posted necessarily on TikTok in a while, but I mean, hey, no better time than to post than during the holidays, for a holiday extravaganza next week. So head to our website, podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com. I truly thank you. I mean it. Have a great holiday season. We will see you next week. Bye. Again, we is just me. There's no one here. So, I mean, hey, isn't that sad? That's a reason to listen. Pity. I'll take it. I'll take a pity listen.